Hello, my name's Amy and I'm the director of Macbeth, and today I'm going to be talking about the witches within the play of Macbeth, and particularly the inspiration of the Pendle witches. So, coming to direct a production of Macbeth, you have to think about some of the kind of elements within the world of the play that you're going to have to stage, and think about kind of what world are you going to create? How are you going to bring those things to life? And one of the things about Macbeth is, of course, it's got this supernatural element to it. It's got these three kind of weird sisters, as they're called, or the witches as we know them. And it's really important, I think, to kind of tackle that from the early stages of developing up what world are we going to create on stage, because if we ignored the fact that there are witches in this play, we're kind of ignoring a really big part of the world of the play, and so it felt really important to tackle that. And the reason we lent towards the Pendle witches, some of that is a really personal thing for me. So I grew up in East Lancashire, and Pendle witches, obviously Pendle, that's where Pendle is. So I was really aware of the Pendle witches growing up. Quite early in my theatre career, I did a show that was all about the Pendle witches and got to really research and find out lots about that particular time. And what I discovered was actually, what you had at the time was this kind of, this group of 13 men and women, old and young, who were accused of witchcraft, and then they were tried and executed up at Lancaster Castle. And we know all of this because it was all written down by a court clerk at the time. So obviously there were witch trials happening right across Europe at that time, but we just happen to know a lot about that particular witch trial. But it's really, I just find it so fascinating that our notion of what witches are is such this kind of like storybook cackling witch in a pointy hat, but actually it's so much more nuanced than that. We're talking about a time period, and of course, the Pendle witches happened in 1612, that was their year. This play was written, I think, in 1606. But we're talking about that same time period. We're talking about a time when even the king believed in witchcraft so much he wrote a book about it called The Demonology. So witchcraft, supernatural, superstition is so much part of the society in which this play was written. It's before we had, kind of science and, an understanding of how our bodies work, of how the world works. And so, of course, people might look to kind of go, well, why that person shouted at me and then I had what we might now think of as, say, a stroke, but actually we wouldn't necessarily know that back at that time. We'd think that we'd been cursed and that person who cursed us was a witch. So that really felt like it was kind of part of the world that this play is set in. And I suppose linked to that, Pendle is an area that's got this kind of the vastness of the landscape. It's kind of quite bleak, it's beautiful but bleak. It's battered by the weather, the elements, and all of that just felt like actually to set this play that's happening, in the north, on the kind of Yorkshire moors, East Lancashire Pennines, just felt like the perfect setting for this play. So that's really kind of what took us towards the Pendle witches in the first place.